Yeah, I'm back. Welcome to the Code Name Sister podcast. I'm your host, Nandi. Today, we're going to talk about happiness. Happiness is what I call an inside job. Sure, people can disturb it. As we're growing up, there are even people who help shape it, like our parents and people we meet, but no one can decide our happiness for us. That is for us to control. And I've been thinking on this for the last couple of days, and as I thought about it, it made me remember a book I read some years ago by Guy Johnson. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him, but he is Maya Angelou's son, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's his mom. But his book was titled Standing at the Scratch Line. And he has this black male character, the hero, Leroy King Tremaine, I think is his name. And I'll never forget, though, what he said in the book to the woman that he was married to, who, she had did a lot of dirty stuff. I can't remember what her name was. I know it started with an S. But she had did some dirty things to him, and he still stuck with her and stuff despite the circumstances of it. But it's a good book. It's worth it. If you want to read a book where a black man comes out on top, pick up Standing at the Scratch Line. It was a well written book. I really enjoyed it. He also had another book along with that same series. Again, I can't remember the name of that one right now, but once you find Standing at the Scratch Line, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find the other book as well. But what he told her, because she had asked him, I believe, if he would always make her happy or something to that effect, if he would do whatever it takes to make her happy or whatever. And his reply to her was, I can't make you happy. I can give you moments of happiness. The rest is up to you. And when it comes to our happiness, that's the truth. We'll have people who will tell us, some of the worst of things. They'll tell us we don't deserve happiness. And some of us actually start to believe that. We'll even have people when we're in relationships who will tell us that there's more important things to the relationship than just happiness. And when you're saying just happiness, then of course, yeah, there are other things that are just as important. But a person's personal happiness, that thing that comes from inside that radiates out, that's pretty damn important, I would say. And some of them I notice use that as an excuse, though, while they're getting their happy on. So they're being happy at your expense, but anytime you express the need for it, or you go out there and claim the happiness that's yours, that you start living the happy that you're feeling in your heart, they start to feel some kind of way about it. And then that's when it becomes about, oh, you're this, you're that. And I see that a lot, especially, social media actually, for all the bullshit it places at your fingertips, not to say this isn't bullshit either, but for all the stuff that it places out there, all the information, you get so much information from people personality wise. And that's why I think that social media is one of the greatest social experiments of our time, because you learn so much about certain groups of people, certain people, period, just by the things they say, what they post, what they talk about. Even if they're making shit up, you still find out a lot about them, and sometimes it's comical, sometimes it's dangerous, sometimes it's just, what it is. But when you see so many things that certain people jump in on, it starts to like open your eyes to like certain personalities that are not the type that should end up in relationships in the first place. And I see lately a lot of those where there are certain males who will post things about, you can't stay with these black women. You can't do anything with them. You marry them, they want to be able to talk back to you and tell you what they're gonna do. And I'm thinking, is this human being with a mind of their own that you're saying this about? So she's not supposed to be able to express what she likes and doesn't like. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes the communication aspect is not there. Maybe, there are people who could stand to communicate a little bit more positively. But in the same token, I mean, I've encountered and actually been in a relationship with someone that every time I wanted to get my side of the story in, I would either get the dial tone. Well, on cell phones, it's not even a dial tone anymore. It's just dead. No, there's nothingness, and it hangs up. But I've gotten that. I've gotten talked over. I've gotten cursed at. I mean, and it was just like so often my voice was not heard. And I was supposed to just turn around and walk away and carry the weight of that. So not only am I carrying the weight of unspoken words, I'm also carrying the weight of anger, bitterness, because hey, it's fine for you to express yourself and get the shit off your chest. Matter of fact, not only do you get it off your chest, but you sit it on my chest. So now I've got my shit on my chest, and I've got an accumulation of your shit on my chest. I don't just have one day of your shit. I've got days and days and days of your shit that have turned into years of shit on my chest. And when I see men talking that way, it's like, first of all, why are you on Facebook saying this? Why don't you go home and sit down and actually y'all communicate with each other for real? That means sometimes I think it's almost like you have to hit a bell, let him say his portion, hit the bell, let her say her portion, hit the bell again, and just go back and forth, because so much stuff gets lost in communication. Not only in communication, but the frustration of not being able to communicate effectively or positively with another person. And the worst thing that could happen is that the person you're attempting to communicate with is the person who you're married to, in some type of relationship with. When you can't communicate with that person, that is a serious problem there. And yes, it affects more than just your happiness. But happiness goes a long damn way. And when you're not happy, you start wanting to spend less time with people like that. So when you're with somebody and they want to, they've got this philosophy that marriage is about more than happiness, it's about building communities and making sure that we pass on this to our children and this and that. But everything they say is a contradiction of who they are. That's bullshit. And the reason that is bullshit is because they are making it impossible for their partner to be a full participant in whatever that is. And especially for those who get hung up on I'm the leader and what the fuck I say goes. You know what, dude? Even if she appoints you, she's like, okay, you the man of the house and stuff like that, you gonna lead the household and stuff, she still got a right to say that, hey, I don't really agree with this. Here's what I would like to add to the conversation. Can we sit here and maybe go through this, so that we are both satisfied with the outcome? But y'all get some men get so hyped up on that whole I'm the leader thing. And again, like I said, I mean, where's this rites of passage that black men are going through in America? Where is it? Because wherever it is, I miss sending my sons there. And I would have liked to have known about it, because it probably would have made my job a little bit easier if there was some type of rites of passage that they could have gone to. So wherever this is that makes black men an automatic leader, and I'm saying black men, but this is not just black men. This is men in America. This is the American mentality, patriarchy, whatever the hell you want to call it. But it does not value its women. And that's where the problem is. Because when you don't value your women, who should be an asset to you, considering all the shit that she does, all the shit she takes, all she has to stand for, that you don't value her, that says more about you than her. And then to blame her for the failure of your marriage, to make it like, oh, she was just a hard-headed little girl or something like that. It's like, come on, man. Really? So you love your woman so little, you respect her so little that you want her to ignore her own need for happiness, her own need for satisfaction, so that you can be the man. Yeah, that should make a lot of sense. And that's why our relationships in a lot of ways are where they are. It of course a lot of it has to do with incompatibility out the gate. Like I said, I think I said that before. There's a lot of people who should have never got together. And all of us have been that person at some time. We have, and not all of them. I'm speaking in generalities here, okay? But a lot of us have been with people who we were incompatible with, who we should never have had relationships with. But hey, again, no rites of passage overall, no standard. I know that there are places that have rites of passage programs in place, but most people are not attending those. They probably get a handful of people a year, if that. But for the most part, it's just like running into brick walls, learning as you go. And the sad thing is, a lot of us learn on each other, or to the detriment of other people, or we use it to exploit them. And I see that more than anything. But when it comes to happiness, like I said, happiness is an inside job. And the reason why I know it's an inside job, ask anyone who has dealt with depression. Anyone who has suffered with depression, who has battled depression, can tell you that they can have a party going on around them and still feel like they're not even present in the world, that they're in such a dark place that they can't pull themselves out of it, no matter how much rejoicing is going on, no matter how much laughter there is, no matter how many people hug them and hold on tight to them and say that they never want to let go of that person. That to me is proof of happiness being an inside job. And I remember when I actually, going back to the quote that I quoted at the beginning, that the character Leroy King Tremaine had said, when he said, "I can't make you happy, I can give you moments of happiness. The rest is up to you." I remember writing that on my page at one time. So it's somewhere on my Facebook page. I wrote it years ago on there. And someone came on there and wanted to argue that point, saying that, well, that's not necessarily so. People can make you happy. And of course, this was a person that by and by fell off to the side for me too, because they started exhibiting some traits that, just weren't conducive. But the point about it was that person did not understand what was being said, because they were probably already caught up in their feelings or whatever. But they could not get the part that happiness happens in here. You can't go out into the world looking for people to make you happy, because I can guarantee you, when you do that, when you leave your happiness up to somebody else, you're going to be disappointed. I mean, that's all that can be said, for that. So take your happiness, young women, older women, whoever you are, you decide what feels good to you when it comes to your happiness. And if there are things that don't make you happy, you have a right to walk away from it. And it don't matter what somebody else say. It don't matter whether they try to call you out, "Oh, you a coward. Oh, I knew you weren't strong enough to go through this," or "You're selfish," or whatever it is. Because people like that are already telling you that they're poor communicators. And poor communicators and manipulative people really don't care about your personal happiness, because some of them don't know how to be happy anyway. So you have to know how to be happy to recognize the happy in someone else. So if you're not happy, there's no way you're going to recognize they're happy. And if you do by chance recognize they're happy, for some people, when they recognize you're happy, they want to turn that shit off. They don't want you happy. And they're going to do whatever it takes, whatever necessary, to turn that switch off. And it's going to have a lot. And the way to do that is to hit at your self-esteem. So, excuse me, be possessive of your happiness, because your happiness a lot of times determines your mental health. If ever there was a time to protect your mental health and your happiness, this is that time. Do whatever you can. Thank you for spending time with me. This is Nandi. You've just listened to the Codename Sister podcast with Nandi.